accidents are terrifying experiences. You're hurt, and you need someone on your side who understands. Call the Advocates. They have over 20 years' experience with accident cases and have recovered settlements for hundreds of other motorcyclists. They can handle the medical bills and deal with the insurance company so you can focus on recovering and getting back on your bike. The Advocates are my motorcycle attorneys.
You deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Good Wednesday morning to you. It is August 28th, 2024, and we are just a day away from really starting college football. Week 1, Utah and the sacrificial lamb of Southern Utah. Let's not forget Lindenwood College on the schedule tomorrow. Western Carolina in the ACC. Yeah, the real season kicks off Saturday when the Irish end their season in College Station. We have all of that coming up for you. Hi, how are things? Good to be with you. As always, presented by the Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. As I always tell you, if you're one of those people that's out this holiday weekend, maybe you're on your boat, maybe you're on your bike, maybe you're on your bicycle. If you get into an accident, you didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve the pain and suffering that can come with that. Make sure you have them in your mind. Make sure they're in your bookmarks, theadvocates.com, where you can chat with an injury attorney live online for free. It won't cost you a dime, 24/7, 365. Yes, even on a holiday weekend. The Advocates are ready to serve you, and that's the thing I love about the Advocates is that they are always ready to serve you. They know what you're going through because they've seen it all. Get to the Advocates at theadvocates.com. A very interesting week 1, if you will. And I think when you start looking around, we're gonna get a pretty good indicator of where things stand almost immediately. Because I think when you look at, for instance, in the ACC in week 1, obviously we saw SMU struggle. We saw Florida State struggle. But can you really make the argument that, a Stanford TCU game's a huge game for the ACC? I don't think you can. But then again, you have Clemson and Georgia Saturday. That game is in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think that's a huge game. Like I think this opening week of the college football season, obviously with Miami and Florida, I think we're going to get a real good look at where the ACC is.
Absolutely. And I think, these big matchups, are even more magnified with what happened to Florida State. Obviously, you look at, this Clemson Georgia matchup and nobody's giving Clemson a chance. And that's probably rightfully so. That's probably spot on based on where Clemson is at and based on where Georgia is at. But I think that's still a huge game. That's a primetime game. That's a big game for the conference. And then, the Miami Florida game, I still maintain that, Miami has this opportunity, this window in time where if you can get off to a good start this year, you can really, grab this conference by the horns, if you will, and take control. Because you got to think Clemson's going to lose that game. Obviously, Florida State's lost. So if you can win against Florida, you're in the driver's seat already.
Yeah, and then I think maybe the game of the week to watch in the Big 12, and I know it's going to sound crazy, Colorado and North Dakota State, that number now is at 10 points, according to ESPN Bet. The number is 10 in favor of Colorado. Yes, it's in Boulder at Folsom Field. It is a 6 o'clock Mountain Time kickoff. I don't have any confidence at all. I need to see it with Colorado. I need to see the offensive line be better. I need to see the defensive line stop the run. I think that is one of the most critical games in the conference this week. I get it. I think you have a lot of big games. BYU Saturday at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Not going to name a starter before the game. They know who it is. Let's stop joshing around, friends.
Right.
They know who the starting quarterback in Provo is. I believe pretty firmly it's Jake Retzloff. We'll see if I'm proven right or not. BYU's a 14.5-point favorite over a pretty good Southern Illinois team. I think that's a huge game. Arizona, who seems to be everybody's favorite underdog, 21st in the country, a massive 31-point favorite. Massive 31-point. I said 31 points against New Mexico, who's 0-1, by the way. That game's at Arizona Stadium. I do think that this is and I don't mean to over-dramatize this, and I know that we tend to talk in hyperbole and we tend to get dramatic. I think that this is a critical season in the Big 12. I think without question, when we've spent the first couple of days of this week talking about UConn and Deion Sanders versus Paul Finebaum, and Deion is seemingly against everybody. I think this is a critical season in the Big 12. Failure is not really an option. I think when you look at the underdog teams, I think it is absolutely imperative that teams like Colorado prove a point in week one. They need to come out of the gate at Folsom Field and absolutely dust North Dakota State. And I don't know that that's going to happen. I am not, I don't know. Am I a believer in Deion Sanders?
Do you believe?
I am a believer. I think Deion is a very good football coach. I think he is somebody that takes the little kernel of controversy, whether it's sunglasses and how my mom raised me and all that good stuff, whether he gets combative, which he has with the media. Deion Sanders is an expert at bringing his guys to kickoff on an edge with a point to prove, with an enemy on the other side of the field. He has been excellent at that. Have they always won those games? They have not. But this is only year two. And I know it feels like he's been at Colorado a decade. This is year two of Deion Sanders in Boulder. And I think it is a critical season for his coaching career, whether you are Colorado or if he leaves there to go to another stop. It is a critical juncture of his life as a football coach. And I think he absolutely has to come out and dominate this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. I think, Colorado is a team that, obviously people, hate on Colorado. They hate on Prime. They it seems like Colorado's always in the news for one reason or another. Last year there was a lot of controversy with, how they played their games, the battles they had, the Colorado State situation. Like, there were a lot of things that Colorado went through last season. But yeah, I think generally speaking, winning cures all. And if Deion Sanders can somehow come out and put together a 6-7 win season, that's going to be a huge improvement. If you can just be bowl eligible, if you can come out and show that you're clearly improving, that's going to be a big step forward. And I do think that this season, with it being, Shador's last season, him, being the number one overall projected pick right now in the preseason rankings anyway, I think there's a little more pressure. Obviously, Shador is a huge talent, is a great talent at quarterback. And those guys don't just fall off trees. So to me, if I'm Deion Sanders, this is definitely one of those years where you got to make hay. And I don't know if that's, necessarily even needing to contend in even the top 5 of the Big 12. But what it is bowl eligibility. It would be great if you got to 7 wins even. And it would be great if you could just add some credibility to the program through winning some ball games this year. And obviously, this you should beat these guys. Obviously, North Dakota State is a team that you should control, you should dominate. There's no question about that. To me.
I think North Dakota State and South Dakota State represent two very good adversaries. They're two of the best teams in FCS. And you look at North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Would anybody really be that surprised if We turn on the tube Sunday morning and Oklahoma State lost to South Dakota State, or Colorado lost to North Dakota State. I would not be that surprised. We've talked about it at length. I think that this is a critical season for Mike Gundy. If they do not go to the college football playoff, I think you got to start talking about, what's ahead for Oklahoma State football. I think he has to. I think is it an indictment on Mike Gundy and Oak State that they're only a 9.5-point favorite?
I mean,
at home?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, I think, Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State is definitely a program that should be in the college football playoff conversation all year long. And, seemingly every year in week one of the college football season, we get, teams that lose games they shouldn't lose. And again, I know I keep referencing Florida State, but that's a great example this year of a game you shouldn't lose, but somehow you lost. And the problem is that Mike Gundy can't really, afford to lose this kind of game. You need to come out and get off to a really good start, knowing that you have big time opposition later in the season. And that, to me, if you're an Oklahoma State fan, that's what I'd be looking at, because ultimately, we can sit here and talk about, Ollie Gordon and Alan Bowman and, we got wide receivers and everything's amazing. But ultimately, isn't it the conversation every year? Don't we always hear in the preseason or in, heading into week one, hey, we got, we're great. We got all this talent, but it never seems to pan out. It never seems to lead to a college football playoff berth, which in the expanded format now is kind of unacceptable.
Yeah, I think there are some huge games this weekend. I think Baylor and Tarleton. Tarleton's actually a pretty good team. Baylor's a 26.5-point favorite at McLean. I'm a 26.5-point favorite. Who I think has maybe one of the biggest games of the weekend? UNLV. UNLV is in Houston to take on Houston. And Houston's only a 2.5-point favorite. I think there's a good chance. Now, Willie Fritz, I would believe, it will have Houston in a much higher level than we saw them at any time last year. I think there's a chance that UNLV can win that game. Now, I also think that Abilene Christian and, at Jones AT&T in Lubbock, they have that's a death sentence. I think Joey's boys are going to come out and absolutely.
But see, that's another example of a team that has to be better, right? I mean, Texas Tech should come out and absolutely eviscerate that team. They should come out and drop, a 40 piece, a 50 piece, like come out and assert, your dominance on that team, get off to a good start. And again, when I'm watching these games in week one of college football, all I'm looking for is, how are you going to start your season? What is the feeling of your team starting the season? Can you come out and destroy someone and be like, hey, we are that team? Like Texas Tech is going to be 8-9 wins this year. Or are you going to struggle? Are you going to only beat, a squad like that by, 2 possessions?
But I think you also have arguably the best running back in the conference. I think you have the best running back quarterback combo that you've had in some time at Texas Tech. I have no idea what we're going to get from Avery Johnson, who's named after the former Spurs coach. I hope. I don't think he is. Because he's also got a pretty good running back behind him, right? Like, I mean, there's some good backs in this conference. I think Taj Brooks is the most underappreciated and arguably the best back in this conference.
Totally agree.
And I think that the excuses have been taken away from Joey McGuire at Tech. I mean, it's pew-pew time in Lubbock. Like, it is time to go. But again, I say all of this because I think with the weakness that Florida State showed, I feel like there's a real opportunity for the Big 12 to put 2 into the college football playoff. What if Miami loses to Florida this weekend?
Yeah, the ACC is in a bad spot.
If you're the ACC, that Miami game's a must win. It's a must win. Because Mario Cristobal will quickly be packing his shit in South Florida. Excuse my French.
Mm-hmm.
He will be on the way out the door in Miami. If they lose that game, it's not.
Pack everything up. We're out of here.
It's not a conversation. I do declare every week for Miami is must win.
Well,
I think it is, because you look at what Mario Cristobal represented, the dream job, the kids coming home,
right.
like they were supposed to be much better than they were last year. I think that they are one of the biggest disappointments coming out of last season. I think they also have some of the highest expectations. Like, who's a coach that could get fired after another bad season? An 8-ball, Dave Aranda at Baylor. Nobody. If they have a bad season, nobody's going to think twice about it.
Nope.
If Mario Cristobal has a bad season at Miami, he's going to get fired, and it will be shocking. It will be shocking. And I think maybe this is dramatic, but I think there's a real chance if Mario Cristobal fails at Miami this year, I think there's a chance we never see Miami Hurricane football again. I think they will become an afterthought. They will lose funding. Their stadium push, all that stuff goes away.
Mm-hmm.
If they have another disappointing season, if they do not compete, and I'm not saying they have to win the ACC championship. They have to be in that game, in my opinion.
Well, I think at a minimum in the game, but I think with the way the season's already panning out in the ACC, you have an opportunity. Clemson is most likely going to lose that game. Florida State's lost. So Miami is the obvious next team to step into that auto bid position. And that's the thing with the college football playoff. If you win your conference, obviously you get that auto bid in. And so it's like, hey, if you're, in the Big 12, you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, well, the ACC is not really looking too good. They're potentially only going to get their conference champion in unless Florida State somehow runs the table, unless Clemson somehow runs the table after losing to Georgia. Like
But think about that statement. Florida State had their own week of college football. Like, that was the game.
Yes.
And you failed miserably. The game this week, I could argue, is Clemson, Georgia. That's going to have a huge TV number. If Clemson gets torched, and I don't have, listen, I understand it. Dabo, we get it.
We built this program on NIL.
You're not that guy, pal, right? You can't go there. You can't lose by 21 to Georgia. It's not an option. It is not an option. And then if Miami loses to Florida, the season's, just turn
You're
the
done.
TV off.
Yeah.
Turn the TV off. Like, it would be remarkable.
You're just paving the way for the Big and the SEC to get,
No, you're paving the way for the Big 12 to put 2 into the college football playoff. That's what you're doing. And now the other side of that coin is, and I think it's very likely Miami will dominate Florida. I think that's very likely. I think it is highly unlikely that Clemson can stay within 17 points of Georgia. I think Georgia, I feel like I'm talking in cliches today. They have a point to prove.
Yeah.
They got embarrassed last year.
What's the number right now for
871?
For yeah, exactly. Right.
They're favored by 800 and
what must it be? 17 at least?
What would you guess it is?
I would guess it's like 17 or 20.
It is 13 and a half.
13 and a half. That's a real generous number.
And that, but again, neutral site, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think we're all well aware, Clemson ain't that far from Atlanta. Now, Athens is down the street, but Clemson is not that far from Atlanta. That's a neutral site game.
I don't know. I see that being at least 20 for Georgia.
I don't know. I need to see it. That's 10 a.m. Saturday, noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific, ABC, national TV, huge game. Like, you look at the teams. Again, look at my Irish, who are going to get their ass handed to them in College Station. A&M, I'm asking you to look at this. I am clear-eyed about Marcus Freeman being a failure of a head coach. Like, I'm clear-eyed about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're this great team that everybody says, my God, Notre Dame, They are so alive and real, more real than No, I'm not.
Notre Dame, our mother.
You're a 3-point dog at Texas A&M. New head coach, new athletic director, pretty much, crippled by paying their ex-Jimbo Fisher failure $8 trillion a day.
Well, you want to be favored on the road?
Yes. God. Do you guys see what I deal with? You're the seventh,
issue, isn't it?
You're number 7 going to number 20. And you're an underdog at Texas A&M.
I don't know. I mean, it's only 3 points. Like,
okay. I'm telling you.
What do you want to be, a 3-point favorite? You're not going to give them a touchdown favorite on the road.
You should be You're the almighty Irish of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Well, because you're not. You're not. Does Riley Leonard survive the game?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Honestly, probably not.
Like my point is, when you look at Notre Dame, you're the 7th team in the country going to play number 20, and you're a dog on the road. And all week, all I've been hearing about from the comment section and everybody else is that I'm just being a pessimistic, whining, crying, complaining Notre Dame fan, which is fine. But explain to me how you're the number 7 team in the country and you're a 3-point dog on the road.
Right.
Pretty much across the board. Where else is that the case? Where else is that the case? Somebody explain to me, show me in the top 25. Because everybody says, well, Notre Dame's a college football playoff team. No, they're not. But show me where, like Utah playing Southern Utah. Okay, Southern Utah, nothing. If you look at the top 25 matchups, Georgia is a 2-touchdown favorite.
What's Penn State?
Penn State's an 8-point favorite on the road at Morgantown.
Yeah.
But no buts, Monty.
No,
they're
mice.
not. People don't respect Notre Dame, and I hope it's finally starting to sink in that people don't respect Notre Dame. So you have number 13 LSU against number 23 SC in Las Vegas. It's a road game for LSU. They're a 4-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But you're number 7 going to number 20, and you're a 3-point dog.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fair point. That's fair.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Notre Dame is not a national championship contender. Marcus Freeman, until he shows us otherwise, is not qualified and is not capable of leading the Irish. Hey.
Well, I think that conversation is more than justified.
I just am. I'm not here for it. Like, West Virginia is a very interesting game this week. West Virginia is a very, very interesting game. I think there is a real chance for the pedos from Happy Ending Valley to go to Morgantown and lose.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I'm going to punch Neil Brown in the face, the head coach at West Virginia.
Because I'll drop that motherfucker.
You're one of the Penn State is. You know how we talk about hate in sports?
Yes.
And it's okay to use the word. I don't believe you should be saying you hate somebody else in the world. I just don't. In sports, we don't live in the real world. It's all fantasy. I hate Penn State. I hate James Franklin. I hope he never wins another game as a coach. I hope Penn State never plays another football game. And I hope they lose in Morgantown. I am.
Well, you know what that strategy is going to be. It's going to be to run the football, suffocate the clock. You know.
Yeah, I hope they never win another game. I hope they never win another game. I do. I hope Marcus Freeman gets fired the minute that they lose that game. I hope he doesn't even get to talk to the team after the game. They just some priest from Notre Dame fires his ass before he ever
in his ass
before he no shouldn't even get back to the locker room. Should not even get back to rent that guy a car and make him drive his ass back to South. Should not be allowed out. The guy, you couldn't put 11 guys on the field in a goal line situation.
Well, but Monty, what about a second chance? What about a chance to redeem himself?
Nope. We know who Marcus Freeman is.
Uh-huh.
He's he's over his head.
Yeah.
In over his head. at Notre Dame. The very fact that the beloved are dogs going to Texas A&M, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And anyway, my point is, I think this is a critical season.
Oh, it's a hell of a start to the season, too, scheduling wise. I mean, I think, everyone always said, oh, well, consolidation of conferences, we're not going to get big matchups. And I feel like the schedule to open the season proves that idea completely wrong.
I think it is a critically important season for the Big 12. I think it is the only. I think it's incredibly important that the Big 12 put 2 in, because I don't see the ACC getting 2 in. I think Florida State is going to struggle. I think you are looking at a Clemson team that is probably lofty. What are they, 14th? They're probably lofty. You have people picking Utah to actually win the college football playoff. I mean, the Big 12 needs to find a hero. And it very well could be, outside of Utah, it very well could be Kansas, K-State. It very well could be UCF, who I think is going to be far better than anybody thinks. I know it's not Colorado. I'm pretty certain it's not Oak State.
Okay.
I want Joey McGuire to succeed.
I think most people do as well. Yeah.
But I just look at Tech's schedule. They're going to the Palouse to die. Like I hate that trip for Texas Tech. Is Washington State good? Probably not. Right? But you look at that run of at Arizona, Baylor, at TCU, at Iowa State, that Colorado, at Oak State, West Virginia. You're not a conference champion contending team.
Right.
Not right now. Not unless you show me something. But I look at the top half of this conference, and again, I think Kansas has the potential and the talent. Can the quarterback stay healthy? Lindenwood, mighty Lindenwood, 45-point favorite. 45-point favorite.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, by the way. Right? They can beat anybody. TCU, I think TCU has to have a bounce back. I think they're going to beat the hell out of Stanford on Friday night. Now, that game's at Stanford Stadium. Great. That's not a home field advantage.
No.
The farm it's not intimidating. It's not scary.
I mean, you should win that game if you're TCU.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nada. Arizona. Why is Arizona 21st in the country? I don't know either. I don't know either. But I don't know. Anyway, point being, I think this is a critical season. The Big 12 has to find a way to get 2 in.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was even before we've seen what appears to be happening in the ACC with teams losing games that maybe they shouldn't have lost. And I think, it's just ratcheted it up. It's just sort of amplified that pressure and that need to take advantage of missteps.
This season has the ability to get off to a very bad start for me. I'm telling you, if Notre Dame loses that game, I don't know that I'll be here Monday. I don't know that I will survive the weekend.
Legitimately, though, what do you like?
Well,
what's he got to do to keep his job? College football playoff berth to keep his job?
Oh, that's a minimum. If this team doesn't go to the college football playoff, if Notre Dame doesn't go to the college football playoff, you're really not looking side-eyed at Marcus Freeman?
Yeah.
After terrible clock management repeatedly last year, after terrible personnel management repeatedly last year, because that 11-10 goal line situation against Ohio State, that was not the only time they had the wrong. Do you guys understand that in multiple scenarios they had the wrong personnel groupings on the field? Do you understand there were multiple times in 3rd and short where they were in dime? And in obvious situations, they were in dime against 3rd and short and gave up first downs on the run. Like, it's not the only time. So if they do not make the college football, they have a cupcake schedule, bro.
Yeah, it does. The question has to be asked, what is going to be the defining narrative of this season for Notre Dame? Because we know what it was last year.
They don't really play. Don't they play like 3 true road games? If I remember correctly, they play. Florida State is at Notre Dame Stadium. Like, you look at the SC game, that game's in Los Angeles, right, at the Coliseum. But leading into that game, I mean, they're home for Florida State, home for Virginia, and Army on November 23rd at Yankee Stadium. And then you turn around the next week and you go to SC. But the Yankee Stadium game, they should beat the hell out of Army.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a home game for Notre Dame. Anytime we play at Yankee Stadium, it's a home game. I'm just telling you, you look at this schedule, this weekend, that's their road game.
Yeah, you got to beat A&M. Yep.
It's at Texas A&M, Northern Illinois, at Boiler Down, Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville. Louisville, that's a tough game. I'm not even.
Yeah, but if you're who you say you are, you should beat Louisville. You should beat Louisville.
I would think so. And that game's at the stadium. So, you look at the Stanford game on October 12th. That game's at the stadium. Should be absolutely no issue.
How real is Georgia Tech?
Now, you got to play Georgia Tech in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be a tough game. That's a home game for Georgia Tech, even though it's supposedly a neutral site. That's a road game. Right? The Navy game, October 26th, is at MetLife Stadium. And you see what I'm saying? Like, you're playing these games. And again, I get it. It's Georgia Tech at the Dome. I totally understand. That's a road game. But is MetLife Stadium a road game for Notre Dame, who has a massive recruiting and fan base on the East Coast?
No.
Is Yankee Stadium a road game for Notre Dame? Stop. Come on. Like, what are we even?
I agree that they don't have a lot of excuses. There's not a lot of reasons as to why Notre Dame shouldn't have a big year, outside of the fact that, hey, you're playing dime on 3rd and 1. Like, that's if we see more of that, that would be a real shame considering the schedule they have. And by the way, being that you do have that schedule, you are going to have to be, undefeated 1-loss team. Like, you don't have the strength.
His defense is going to be very good. He will have, I think he could potentially have a top 10, probably top 7 defense in the country. I have no idea what our offense is going to look like. No idea. Don't believe the quarterback can stay healthy. I just don't. Hartman was a revelation for us at Notre Dame. We.
Yeah, obviously.
Me and the Holy Ghost.
Right.
Hartman was a revelation. It just is really, I don't know.
We'll see what they got. But, that's all you can do. All you can do is hope that they go to A&M and win the ball game. That's all you can do.
Fat old Mormon and dying says.
Note the profile picture.
This blatant schedule manipulation is the reason Notre Dame needs to be in a conference. Okay. D-Rock Irish replying to Jack Harrington should, however, we need to get out of our own way. Yeah, have 11 guys on the field. Notre Dame's opponent is Notre Dame. See, I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this movie before.
Listen, they're the best team in the country, dude. Come on.
Not to give away the plot twist, but Marcus Freeman ain't the sharpest tool in the shed in pressure situations. I mean, come on now. Come on. D-Rock, last 2 plays of the Ohio State game, we had 10 guys on the field. Jack Harrington, Notre Dame will beat FSU. FSU might go 8-4. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I just, yeah. Kaner and BYU goes 3-0 and ends 8-4, saving the coach's job. Well, but BYU again, Am I disappointed in BYU fans? On the whole, I'm not. But this vocal minority of BYU fan that says Jake Retzloff is the same guy today that he was against Oklahoma last year is lost. I don't understand it. This BYU quarterback situation, I think everybody's on board that it's probably Jake Retzloff. I'm not the only one saying that. I don't think there's any question that Jake Retzloff is a better, more able quarterback today than he has ever been at BYU. Notably, he's not coming off of surgery. He didn't miss spring and summer, and he is at 100%. He knows the playbook like he wrote it. I think Jake Retzloff is the only guy for that job. He's the only guy for that job.
Yeah, and I will be disappointed if we see this nonsense of like a 2-quarterback system, and you can't do that and be good, in my opinion. You need to have a starter, you need to have a starting quarterback, and you need to run an offensive system.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit because I know there's a lot of people. Mike Smith says Virginia Polytechnic.
Right.
Va-Tech is going to be good. Va-Tech is going to be good. Lopez Fan Gabe, hit the like button. Yes, please. Hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. San Diego State. Glenn, someone asked for political talk. They did, really. They actually have some coming up. I'll be watching the Colorado Buffs post-game TV ratings just as closely as the presidential polls. But see, this is my point. This is my point. Their first 6 games, North Dakota State at Nebraska, at Colorado State, Baylor at UCF, K-State.
Good luck.
It's a really tough schedule. It's a really tough schedule. But I will be watching too. There's no doubt. The Big Lubbock. Texas Tech goes 10-2 this year.
Man, the Big 12 needs that so bad.
And I will say what I always say. Texas Tech. Because Oak State with Mike Gundy just isn't that team. He's not a guy who consistently wins big games. And especially in the postseason. But if we look at the Big 12, that's a scary game for Tech this week. That is a scary game. Because you need to come out and beat them by 50, 60 points.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to come out because look at Tech's schedule. You're going to beat Abilene Christian. Come on. That game at Washington State, tell me that's not your trip to Laramie last year. North Texas, you should be 3-0. And my belief is you shouldn't probably give up a touchdown. Arizona State, Cincinnati, 5-0. At Arizona is your first opportunity for a loss. That's your first opportunity to lose a game. Because, again, I'm just little old Morty over here.
Right.
Or, excuse me, the fat dying Mormon. Arizona is supposedly this amazing team that somehow lost Jed Fish, hired the guy from San Jose State, and we're supposed to believe that a quarterback wide receiver combo, and it might be the best in the country, might be. You're telling me that that's the Fighting Fafitas all of a sudden are going to be. You should be able to go to Tucson and win that game. If you're legit, you should come out of Tucson October 5th undefeated. And then beat Baylor and then lose at TCU. If you haven't lost, what are you, 9-0 at that point? 7-0? If you get to Baylor and you haven't lost yet, you're going to beat Baylor, right? What is that? 3, 6, 7-0. 7-0 going to TCU, you're 7-1. You're going to lose at Iowa State. You just are. That's a November 2nd game in Ames, Iowa.
Good luck.
7-2, 8-2 against Colorado at home. The Oak State game is the game that'll determine great season or just a season. If you're happy with a bowl game, it's because you lost to Oak State. Because that's the game of note. It's in Stillwater. You should beat West Virginia, the running West Virginia Mountaineers, in what will likely be Neil Brown's farewell tour. You have the potential to lose 3 games. TCU, Iowa State, and Oak State. Now, Barron's got to stay healthy. Taj has to stay healthy. You better have a better play caller on defense.
Seriously.
Let's not go 0 blitz. That was one of the worst defensive play calls I've ever seen. Against
on the
Wyoming.
goal line, bro. Like,
He
how?
went 0 and lost the game. Amazing. Pew, pew. Okay. Glass City Buck. Big 12 will not get 2 teams in. No way. Okay.
But what makes you say that, man?
Well, because every team in the Big 10 is getting in the college football playoff.
Apparently. Like,
I believe that Michigan is an 8-win team, which opens a college football playoff spot. You know, I spent a lot of time looking at Oregon yesterday. There's a lot of transfers on that team. They need to come out hot. They need to come out hot. And and maybe I'm just hedging my bet here. I'm still thrilled that nobody's talking about SC. Because I can't wait for Lincoln Riley on a week in, week out basis to come on this show and kick you in the balls.
well,
I'm excited about that.
This week.
I'm excited about that.
Starts this week.
Because I think I'm just telling you. Don't say old Monty didn't warn you.
I just want to see that defense at SC hold LSU to under 30 points. That's all I'm asking for. That's
Big Blue Horses. Will the 12 eat itself like the old pack used to do each season? Probably. The conference schedule's a grinder. Mike Smith. You better not talk about Monty's guy. Now he's no Ollie Gordon, but he's good enough for BYU. You know. Sean Rollins, Monty is getting trolled. How am I getting trolled? We will have to talk politics. Will we talk politics today? We maybe, depends on how much time we have.
Today's the day where everyone wants to talk politics.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, you guys shouldn't be talking politics. Stick to sports.
Stick to sports.
Yeah.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine. It's fine. And I'm here for it. After some of the bad showings of the Big 12 opening games last year, they do not need to take any team for granted. Can't have that same start. The Monty Ghost. Hello. How will BYU perform this season? Is it Jake Retzloff? I think if it's Jake Retzloff, they have a chance to win 8 games. Southern Illinois, I think, and again, Oak State James is here today.
Stay hard.
Preston Stone did not impress.
Macaque.
He did not impress. Sorry, James, that's your guy. I understand it. 2-0. I think Laramie's a very difficult game. Going to Laramie, 3-0. You're going to lose to K-State, 3-1. You're going to lose to Baylor, 3-2. You're going to beat Arizona, 4-2. You're going to beat Oak State, 5-2. You're going to lose to UCF, 5-3. You're going to lose to Utah, 5-4. You're going to lose to Kansas, 5-5.
And then right there, we're going to be on the show, and all the BYU fans are going to have a meltdown, and they're going to say, we're going to be under 500 to end the year.
6-5 against Arizona State, 7-5 because you're going to beat Houston.
That's what I would expect.
I think 7-5 is the number. They'll have a chance to win. If we got crazy, their wins would be Southern Illinois, SMU, Wyoming, Baylor, Arizona, Oak State, Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston. Do I think that's likely? I don't. I think that's a lot. I think this Jay Hill defense is going to be significantly better at BYU. And if Jake Retzloff is your starting quarterback, their offense will be explosive. I'm a huge believer in that. The other,
can LJ stay healthy?
I was just going to say LJ Martin has to stay healthy because they've got receivers for days. I think they have 71 on their depth chart right now, and just a bunch of oars. They know who the starting quarterback is. I think it's likely they win 7 games. I think the top of the mountain is 9. I think the top of the mountain is 9. Oak State James. Oak State has 5 dudes on the O-line who are 5th-year seniors. I know they have all 841 returning players. Has 3 studs at wide receiver. They're not studs. You've got 2 really good guys at wide receiver, not 3. And their running back is the Doak Walker winner from last year, who drinks too much. You got to go out and show it. Show me the guy, and I just ask this every year. Show me the guy who's had this kind of tumult. An average program, because I think Oak State's been an average program.
Yeah.
An average program whose coach admits that he has driven intoxicated hundreds of times. I think he said 1,000 times, whatever it is.
He said, I must have done that 1,000 times in my life.
You have your best player, or your second best player, because Alan Bowman's winning the Heisman this year.
I'm a man.
You have your best player in Ollie Gordon getting a DUI, and you didn't punish him. And you have what I think most people believe, and I believe, is an average-ass quarterback who's shown you no reason to believe that he can carry the club. So,
what are we
again,
missing?
I'm just asking. Somebody tell me, why should I believe that Oak State is a 10-win team? Why should I believe? Here's a question. Why should I believe they can go to Provo on a chilly night and beat BYU? Why should I believe that? That game is October 18th, and it is 9:15 kickoff Central Time, 8:15 Mountain Time. You know how difficult it is to go into BYU at night in the middle of October and win? Come on. That's asking a lot. That's asking a lot. So we'll see. We'll see. And I look at Oak State's schedule. South Dakota State, we're going to find out, because I think that's a very difficult game. It's a very difficult game. You should beat the pants off of Arkansas. You should beat the pants off of Tulsa. You're going to lose to Utah, in my opinion. I think the Utah at K-State, West Virginia stretch is really difficult. That's followed by a bye week into BYU, at Baylor, Arizona State, at TCU, Tech, and Colorado.
Tough schedule, bro. That's a tough schedule.
But playoff teams lose one of those games, and I think it's to Utah. You lose one of those games.
Yeah.
I'm just, is what it is. Mike Smith, quit teasing me with the Neil Brown farewell tour. This is just mean, and I'm not here for it.
Well, we do.
What does it take for him? What does it take for Neil Brown to keep his job? Bowl game?
No, I think you got to be at least 7 wins. They overachieved last year.
They overachieved last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they played really solid offense. When the pedophiles come to Morgantown, you got to win that game.
Right.
You got to win that game. They're playing, because the week after that, you have Albany. And then we're going to punch some people in the face at Pitt, Kansas, Oak State, Iowa State, K-State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Baylor, UCF, and Tech. That's a tough schedule.
You're not 9 wins this year, dude.
I think you're 4 wins. I think you beat Penn State. You beat Albany. The Pitt game's a toss-up. And then I think you don't win again until Cincinnati.
But again, we're assuming Kansas is healthy. We're just assuming.
Well, we're calling it equal. I think you're going to beat Penn State, Albany. You're going to beat Pitt. You should start 3-0. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The expectations will be through the roof. Kansas, at Oak State, Iowa State, K-State. Of those 4 games, who are you beating?
I mean,
you'll have a chance against Kansas. You have a chance against Iowa State. Those games are at home, and you are phenomenal on the ground at home. K-State, you'll have a chance against K-State. The home games are where you're going to win. I don't think you'll go to Arizona in October. Is hot. It's not fun. Tucson sucks. At Cincinnati, you should win that game. You should beat Baylor and UCF in Morgantown. I mean, you have a chance. Best case scenario, 3-0 after the Pitt game. You come home riding a high. Okay, you beat Kansas. You're 4-0. I can't see you going to Oak State and winning. Because I think that defense is actually going to be pretty good. Iowa State. Okay. Let's say you're 5-1. K-State. I think K-State's really good. So you're 5-2. You'd be thrilled with that, right? I mean, would you not? Again, tell me that you would not be thrilled with that.
You would. You would.
Right? I think at home, you will. I even hate to say it out loud. At home, you should win your home games.
Well, and the thing with West Virginia is they're just that team that's got a propensity to win games sometimes that they just shouldn't win. And it's because they run the football and they eat the clock. And you do that because you have a phenomenal offensive line, right? You probably top 2-3 offensive lines in the conference. Yes.
At West Virginia.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I think when we look at it on paper, 5 wins, 6 wins would be a hell of a season looking at it on paper. But you're right. If they're 3-0, the expectations will go up. And the only question is going to be, who's healthy and who's not. Because if West Virginia stays healthy, which they should, they've shown the ability to do that, they're going to surprise some people. They're going to win some games they shouldn't. And to Mike's point, Neil Brown's going to stay around.
Will they beat Penn State? I think
they probably will.
There's one stat in that game that'll matter. Who has more interceptions?
Yeah.
Because I maintain the 2 best units at West Virginia are the offensive line and the secondary. And if that happens, if they can turn them over, Mike Smith, West Virginia will win enough to get a bowl game, but not enough to compete for the Big 12 title.
Yeah.
No? Fat, old Mormon, and dying. Sounds like this Tanner guy is a piece of work.
Okay. I don't know who's got this account, but that's an awesome comment, bro.
James, I'm not trying to troll today, but
it's not about what you try to do, James.
Just sticking up for my team. Bottom line is Utah, Oak State, K-State are great teams. Oak State's not a great team. They're not a great team.
Yeah, I think you're forgetting Kansas too.
And he never gives compliments to Kansas. No Oak State fan wants to hear about the Jayhawks. None of them. And K-State's got to show it. K-State's got to show they can do it. There's a lot of turnover on that team. A lot of turnover. And a quarterback who has been historically inaccurate as a passer. And I know he's the world beater. Show me you can do it. Because now you have a stud at running back. You better be able to throw the football. They've got to show it. UW fan Jim. If West Virginia can beat Petto State, they can beat anyone on their schedule. I agree with that. But that game's at home. Willie Wilson, the transfer portal is a stopgap. Fill in holes your team has or needs. Oh, no, I disagree. I don't think the transfer portal is not a stopgap anymore. Is it a stopgap at Ohio State? Is Caleb Downs a stopgap? No, I don't think so.
Will Howard,
you're going to have to find a quarterback next year, but I wouldn't call Will Howard a stopgap. I mean, hell, Jerry Bohannon. Stopgap. I'm being a jerk. To build a culture and good team chemistry, you need to be good at recruiting.
Who are you, Dabo?
okay. If you're Deion Sanders and you swap out 50% of your roster through the transfer portal, you're going to have chemistry issues. But if you are somebody like Ohio State, it goes without saying, you have to, recruiting is no longer just the high school 4-star guy. The portal is part of recruiting. It's no longer a thing where you just go and hit a home run in a 1-year wonder. That's not what it is anymore. I mean, DJ Hewitt, Florida State's a really good example of that. I mean, will he? I don't know what happens to him in Florida State. I truly do not. But quarterbacks are in the portal every year. It's free agency. Do you have to draft well in the NFL? You do. Burrow and Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. Like, the guys getting paid right now? Yeah. But that's the NFL. Anybody can pay you well in college football. There are no salary caps. There are no... the portal is literally the wild, wild west.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it just, you know. G. Lee is TCU this year's sleeper. I'd be really surprised if Spike Dykes' kid didn't have a bounce back. TCU is talented, and Sonny Dykes is a good coach. He's a good coach, in my opinion. Mike Smith. Kansas was so bad in football for years, but they have turned it around the last couple of seasons. Kansas needs to continue to be good for the Big 12. It's huge. When, you know, big old Mark Mangino was there, not good. They have built something real in Lawrence. Investing in facilities, driving revenue. You're good. There's a reason they are good. There's a reason they are good. Now, I also think there's a reason that teams in the Big Ten are good, because people want to play there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge thing, in my opinion, that you have to be able to draw guys. I look at Colorado. Deion Sanders can recruit. People are like, oh, Monty, you guys are so stuck on star ratings and, well, how many high school kids did he get? I don't care. The portal is what makes your class good or bad. See Caleb Williams at USC. It's a perfect example, right? But I look at, you know, things like this North Dakota State game. Bro, that is a huge, huge deal for North Dakota State. Like, can you imagine if Colorado loses to North Dakota State? I don't need, what do we won't do, will we have a show? I don't think we'll have a show Tuesday.
No,
we just won't.
Parade.
We won't show up.
Yeah, the parade of hate for Deion's going to be raging.
Is the offensive line better than it was?
Should be.
It's the only question that matters. Colorado's passing game is going to be the best in the conference. Travis Hunter's the best wide receiver and corner in the conference. Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, is arguably the best quarterback in the conference. I mean, their passing game is going to be prolific. I think that Shedeur Sanders has an opportunity to throw for 450 yards in this game. And if he does that, they'll win by 28 points. They'll win by 28 points.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest problem for Deion is that North Dakota State pass rush is savage. If he doesn't have an offensive line, and if they are not better in pass pro, they're going to lose the game. It's that simple. I think you look at North Dakota State struggled against teams that ran the ball well. Deion can run the football, right? I think that it'll be very interesting to see if Colorado tries to have a little more balance in their offense. Are they going to just let Shedeur Sanders throw the ball 8,000 times in the first quarter? If they do that, they're going to lose. They got to run the football.
Well, and I think to that point, like, you know, is it going to, you know, devolve into Shedeur just throwing all over the field because they can't run it effectively again? And that's what I think Colorado can't have. You have to be able to, get into 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, on a regular basis to be successful.
Take the over in this game. It's 59.5 is the number. I mean, South Dakota, North Dakota, Central Dakota,
your mom's Dakota.
They're all tough teams. North Dakota State has a really good quarterback and a really good pass rush. They cannot out-athlete Colorado, which is why Colorado probably wins. I am fascinated to see this offensive line against North Dakota State because that pass rush is, dude, that pass rush is good.
Yeah.
Are you, in the comment section, are you rooting for or against Deion Sanders? I'm rooting. I think the Big 12 is a much better league when Colorado wins. It's more entertaining. He's more entertaining. The do you believe moments.
Mm-hmm.
The talking all that junk moments.
Do you believe?
I think it's imperative that they're good. He's got a really tough schedule. I want to see how good Nebraska is, by the way. That Nebraska game could be very telling. I think this league is more compelling, and I think it's a better league when Colorado's good.
And I think that we get less of the Deion trying to be a red ass in press conferences when they are winning, and I think that, this situation with Finebaum and like everything we've seen this offseason with Prime, like I'm kind of burned out on, Prime trying to, do this whole thing where they're limiting who's asking questions and all this nonsense. Like, go out and win some football games, dude. Like, I love the guy. I love the way he runs the program. Yeah, I love the way they go about it. But you can't. It's just never going to work to do that in the press. That never ends well for anybody.
Yeah. How does Marty feel about the guy Deion potentially doing business with people who cut people's heads off? It's the nature of sports now. Trevor Riley, the former assistant, and part of this goes into the Finebaum stuff too. Trevor Riley, the former Deion Sanders assistant coach, who resigned in frustration, allegedly. Trevor Riley says that he used his extensive connections in the Mormon community and global community to try and raise private money for Colorado football, including going to Saudi Arabia and meeting with the Public Investment Fund. And then Colorado didn't follow through to execute the deals he made. So he quit. It's a very interesting position because you start looking at this Finebaum stuff. This is Paul Finebaum on Deion Sanders. This is a trait of Deion Sanders. He wants to have it his way, and I find him to be a bully and a hypocrite. And quite frankly, as someone who has been a fan of his throughout his entire career, even at Colorado, I'm mortified by his actions. He's talking about Deion cutting off reporters and banning reporters from asking him questions. Deion said, I know what he's doing, and I'm proud of him, that he's smart enough to understand that this generation and this thought process and the way we communicate on sports is different, and he's a dying breed, Sanders said. So what does he have to say to stay and keep up with this change? Oh, I've got to go find a big bad wolf and talk about it. Is Deion correct?
On some level, yes. I think we all agree that, Finebaum does say things that, keep him in the cycle.
He does.
That's why we have Finebaum.
Right. I think Lane. Yeah.
He
Lane
does.
Kiffin and Finebaum, Finebaum and whoever, like, it is what it is. I think that Deion Sanders, you can't have it both ways. You can't be a superstar and be a huge personality, but then also get a free pass. So I think that Deion gets it. I think that, you made a point last week, I think it was, about how, Deion's kind of playing a strategy game here where, he's going to make it more about the media than, the media making it about the offensive line or what, whatever they want to ask him about
Correct.
at that given time. And so, if that's what Deion's doing, then I'm fine with that. If that's the strategy, I'm good with that. But let's not sit here and say that, somehow this guy's not a good football coach, or like, he doesn't know how to recruit, or his class sucks, or it's all that stuff's taken
or that
care of.
he doesn't recruit and he's a demon for using the transfer portal, even though 68 power conference teams are projected to start 43 transfer quarterbacks.
Like, come on, dude.
A 63% turnover ratio. But Deion's a dog. He doesn't know how to recruit.
Come on.
I tend to side with both guys. Paul Finebaum's in a click business. He needs people to watch, click, read, talk, retweet. Talk about Deion Sanders. Because Deion will talk about you. Deion's got incredibly thin skin. He will talk about you. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy partner. Prize Picks, where I won big bread again. Now, as the commenter who says that I'm Mormon and fat and dying will tell you, I don't know shit from Shinola.
Right.
But let's go ahead and open up that Prize Picks app.
Yeah.
Now, what did I tell you about Prize Picks baseball? Aaron Judge home runs, right? The number was 0.5. I took less. Aaron Judge did not hit a home run last night.
Cash.
Did have a double. Got that right. But because I am a degenerate, and I admittedly slurp the Chicago Cubs every opportunity, I would like to thank Seiyao Suzuki, who he's probably my Preston Stone.
Stay hard.
Right.
Seiyao was 2.5 total bases. 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, including a bomb.
Boom.
That's what I do. Now, because I'm also a red ass, and I don't remember what her number was. I said her number, which means, yes, I bet.
The dub.
Can I go back and why is my app? Oh, there it is right there. I would like to point out that my favorite WNBA performer, Aja Wilson. I know it's a joke.
Monty, it's Roma Dunze, right? Not Jim Rome.
She had a 24-point number, 24.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took more, and she had 42. They lost. But I would like to point out.
But you won.
That I won $56.25.
See? It's that easy.
It is that easy. Make 3 selections. It is, again, Asia Wilson last night, I think it was 24.5 points. More or less. More. Winner. Play a flex play. Golf, the tour championship is this weekend. Golf is perfect. Birdies are better. And the number usually hovers around 6. More or less.
Scotty Scheffler, F-bombs on the course.
He's a man of God. Stop it. Download the Prize Picks app. And truly, I thank you because so many of our listeners are playing Prize Picks. It's fantastic. Because they're giving you the best daily fantasy promotion I have ever seen. You open a new account at Prize Picks, deposit $5, Prize Picks will give you 50 more. I've never seen it. I've never seen a promotion like that. It's crazy. Take advantage of it. If you've thought about it, and I know so many people during baseball were on the fence, bros, this weekend, let me give you some of the college football Prize Picks for this weekend, because I feel like this is stealing money. And I don't know why Prize Picks doesn't, but Jalen Milroe, passing yards, half a yard, more or less.
Boom.
More or less. All you have, it's a gimme. Jalen Milroe is half a passing yard. I'm going to go ahead and say more. Travis Hunter, 70.5 receiving yards, more or less. I'm going to have to say more.
Come on, bro. What about Shador? 305.
This is the tough one. I was looking at this yesterday. Shador Sanders. 305.5 passing yards. In the comment section, Shador Sanders, 305 passing yards, 305.5 passing yards, more or less.
See, and when I was looking at Shador's number, the other number that I was comparing that to is Carson Beck at 262.5.
Yeah, but he's got Clemson's defense.
Yeah.
And the one that's more interesting, like Shador is also on a Goblin, which is easier, 2.5 touchdowns. You have to take more, right?
Yeah, that feels pretty reliable.
You have to take more. But on a Goblin, the Green Goblin, you make less, right? I mean, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Prize Picks app. It's that simple. It truly is as simple as that. And you see that little green symbol right there? That's called a Goblin. So, and then it closed because I was tapping the phone. I think that's a good one. Carson Beck at 262.5. That's nervous time. Cam Ward, 260.5 against Florida. Oh.
And you know what the interesting thing is too? Like on some of these selections, Prize Picks will let you upgrade or downgrade it to a Demon or a Goblin.
Yes.
So like on that Cam Ward number, if you want to go Demon, the number goes up to 299.5, but you make more. So they give you a lot of ways to kind of, like Dylan Raiola at 243.5. Like, dude, bro, if you're gonna show up looking like Mahomie, you better put out.
The Goblin on Shador Sanders, the easy pick, 249.5.
That's all day.
The hard one, the Demon, 324.5.
Bro.
That's tough. Josh Hoover at TCU, 275.5. TCU against Stanford. Ooh.
So, like, if I do the Jalen Milroe...
Garrett Green is only 176.5 against Pedo. And the Goblins, 149.5. Ooh.
Okay, so just putting a board together here, just some picks, just to see. If you do Milroe for half a passing yard on the discount, you take Shador Sanders on a Goblin for 2.5 touchdowns, and you take Cam Ward on a Demon for 299.5 against Florida, you're putting up 20 to win 90.
Good God. Riley Leonard against Texas A&M, 224.5.
Boom.
Oof. I'm going to have to go Goblin on that. 149.5. I'll go more. I don't have. All right. So I'm going Jalen Milroe with the gimme, half a passing yard.
Right.
Travis Hunter, 70.5 receiving yards more. Riley Leonard more on the Goblin. And
okay.
That Goblin just kills your profits.
Now you were talking about baseball earlier.
Yeah.
So I have kind of an auto win set up with Shador Sanders as well from earlier in the week. I took O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates to have half a run. This was on Monday. Brandon Marsh to have half a base. They both hit. And I have Shador to have 304.5 on the weekend. So I've already won because I took Monty's advice and played the flex play.
Yeah. Tanner Plummer, any bets on who's going to be BYU starter? I'm pretty certain it's Jake Retzloff.
Yeah.
Pretty certain. For the record, Oak State James says,
and by the way, it's FTR. Thank you.
For the rectum, is that what that is? FTR? Is that for the rectum? KU is a good team, but we have no idea if their fans will fill up.
Bro, are you? Are you serious right now, bro?
Just a loud sigh. We have no idea if their fans will fill up Arrowhead. Well, they added that deck that blocks. Anyway, if they don't, those aren't real home games, and it will make things harder. Yeah, because Jayhawk fans don't travel at all. I mean, they're not passionate fans. Are you out of your mind? Okay. Ron Nolan, Meatloaf was a badass in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Why are we talking about meat?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I love Meatloaf, the food. You mean like Meatloaf, the performer? Isn't he dead now, by the way? Liked him as Lizard in Formula 51, also known as 51st State. Love that movie. Okay. Prize Picks. Download the app. Use the promo code Monty.
What?
Okay. Use the promo code Monty to get a $50 deposit. You open a new account at Prize Picks using the promo code Monty. Click in the description below here on YouTube. If you're on X or Facebook or TikTok, any of our other platforms via social media, make sure you come on over to YouTube rather. Hit the like button, give us a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And real quick, should the NCAA eliminate the spring transfer portal? You guys know there's a December window and then a post-spring ball window. And it's pretty clear now that they are going to eliminate the spring window because I agree it causes too much havoc. I am curious what you guys think. You'll be able to transfer for 30 days in December. If your team is in the postseason, you'll have that window after your season ends. And if a coach leaves or quits, takes a new job, you'll have 30 days as well. No matter when it happens. Should they eliminate the spring transfer window?
I mean, it does cause chaos because of the timing. I think that, the thing with the transfer portal, just generally speaking, is it does need to be kind of reined in just a little bit. Like it needs to be more structured. So I understand why they want to get rid of the spring window. I still think that, if you're somebody who is on the fringe after spring ball and, you want to make a move, it would be nice to be able to do that. But if they eliminate that, you're not going to be able to. So I don't know. I kind of feel like eliminating the spring window basically kind of plays both sides of the fence where you are forced to stick it out in a program until the end of the season, obviously. And we don't get this thing where kids just transfer essentially whenever they want, because having two windows opens that up for you. So, yeah, I think it's probably the right thing to do to get rid of the spring window because it makes kids be more committed to making it work in their current situation. But I don't know. It'll depend on the reaction of players as to whether this was a good idea or not, in my opinion.
My opinion is it's the only thing you can do. Just get a big plate of meatloaf and get rid of the transfer window in the spring. I think that you have to have some ability to lighten the load of coaches. You're in a 24/7, 365 business right now, and it's burning dudes out. And I think it's bad for the coaches. I think it's bad for the players. I think it's bad for collectives. I think it's bad for TV deals. I think you have to find a way to lighten the load of coaches and give them an opportunity to have some real time off. I think it is the only way to do it, in my opinion. And I think it's imperative they eliminate it. I hate the transfer portal in general. It's a necessary evil. And I think you need to contain it and get all your business done in December. And once again, I just will say, if you're in the postseason or in the college football playoff, you have a 30-day window after your season's done.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of takes that away.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Cam Harrison, Mike, in the early days of the show, it was a soundbite that was played when they talked NBA.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, Mo Bamba's great. Mo Bamba's great. Shout out to Mo Bamba, the Monty Show.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
That's funny. Smoke meatloaf from Pat's Barbecue. Ooh, Pat's Barbecue. I prefer smoke and bones, but okay. Will change your mind, Tanner. What did Tanner? Do you hate meatloaf, Tanner? God damn it. There it is. Meatloaf is nasty.
What?
You don't like meatloaf, the food? Meatloaf is fantastic. You just don't know how to make meatloaf. Tell me you don't know how to make meatloaf without telling me. If you think meatloaf is nasty, I think you're out your mind. That tells me you don't understand the sauce to meat ratio. That's what that tells me. You need it to be, you need your meat to be moist. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing. It is. Keith Carl, Tanner is muted for the rest of the week, maybe longer.
You fucking donkey.
See, I'm telling you, if you don't like meatloaf, yes, the Monty Ghost, standard Tanner comment. Meatloaf covered in barbecue sauce. Good. The Monty Ghost, Tanner loves his sausage. Kielbasa. Who are you, Preston Stone? Tanner, LOL, standard slander from the easily triggered Monty Show over freaking food. Listen.
Dude, it's offensive to say that meatloaf sucks, bro.
Teach your wife to make a good meatloaf. Does your wife cook, Tanner, or do you cook? Because my wife can't make toast. I'm the one that cooks in her house. We all know that.
Can you do something for me?
I'm the guy that makes the nutritional wheel spin in the Monty Day Casa crib.
Facts.
Yeah, that's a lie. Who cooks in the comment section? Who cooks in your house? Who is it? Don't eat the Chuckarama meatloaf. Don't eat it, Chuckarama.
Yeah, bro.
Just stop it. Don't eat Chuckarama. Are you kidding me? Cam Harrison, Tanner, WTF. Willie Wilson, prime steak, medium rare. DVDV. Had meatloaf yesterday. It is indeed amazing. Yes, it is. Meatloaf sucks. I said what I said it again. He said what he allegedly said.
Dude.
Big Blue Horses, a hot dog is not a sandwich.
Stop, bro.
How did this happen? I agree with Ferris. Miami fans aren't traveling to Hard Rock. Okay.
Bro, dude.
God. You really think that Lawrence to Kansas City is the same as my Coral Gable? Miami fans aren't traveling to Hard Rock, so why would KU students travel to Kansas City?
You do have this knack for just annoying the living hell out of me.
This is akin to build an upper deck at Rice Eccles Stadium and block the mountain view, James.
You have to be nice to stupid people.
Do you understand that that Hard Rock Stadium is a controversy you don't?
No.
Do you understand that there is a plan in place to build essentially an on-campus stadium at Miami? Oh, you don't. That's right.
No.
Do you understand that this has been a hot button issue since they ripped down the Orange Bowl? Oh, you don't. It's not nearly that they're playing at Arrowhead Stadium for one season because they're building new facilities. So is it akin to Miami playing at Hard Rock where they play every one of their home games? It's not. It's not. And I would caution you, because if Miami wins, Hard Rock will be a much better place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't break the spaghetti, Jake. Jesus, don't start that conversation. Keith Carl, Tanner is more of a roller dog kind of guy anyways. Tend to agree with that. Tanner going hard, and I'm here for it. Tanner is going hard. James is going ballistic. The show is getting better by the minute.
Stay hard.
It tends to happen. Yes, I've seen the new renderings of Miami. Yes, I've seen the construction at KU. Then how on God's green earth can you compare the two? Tanner, more of a reason to not eat meatloaf. Okay. Big Blue Horses, Mrs. Big Blue Horses, and I split the cooking duties. However, she is a much better cook than I am. The Monty Ghost, Tanner loves ranch. I love it. I do love it. I ain't even going to try and front. I do love it. How are you watching sports on TV, bros? Let's talk about this, because there is quite the controversy as it's gotten too expensive, right? It's gotten way too expensive. And we're starting to see that YouTube TV is working to bring all of your subscriptions into one place for sports. And YouTube TV allegedly is trying to broker a deal to bring all of your NFL Sunday Ticket, home plate, full court, your mom's house, like bring it all into one sports package that will cost you, in all likelihood, about $1,000 a year. Would you pay it?
Yeah, I would. $1,000 a year for everything. Yeah, I would, because the Sunday Ticket's already $400, right? Like League Pass is 20, maybe it's $14.99 a month, I think, or like $20, maybe something like that. The baseball app is, another, I think, $10.99. But again, if it's hey, we're going to aggregate it all in one place, you get every single game, and it's easy to use. Part of that's convenience, and I'm happy to pay for that. I'm more than happy to pay because what is that? $120 a month? Is that what that would work out to on a yearly 1,000?
Yeah.
Right. 120 a month. So, I mean, you look at it and you're,
something like that.
Let's see, $1,000 divided by 12 is $83 a month. Yeah. I'd pay $83 a month. Yes, I would. Yes. 100%. I'm paying more than that now. So that actually is a savings. I mean, the base package for YouTube TV with sports and everything, I think is $94 a month. So
the problem is now that we're in a society where we have to subscribe to multiple platforms, and I'm done with it. Netflix, Hulu, The Cock, Paramount Plus, like
Max,
all of these services. Now I get Max for free because I'm an Amex Platinum customer. They give it to you. You bill it every month. They refund it every month for you. So I get that for free, thankfully. But Max is one of them. Like, you look at all of these ones, and then I hate to break it to you, ESPN is on schedule to launch their direct-to-consumer product a year from right now, which means you'll no longer have to have DirecTV, and which is why DirecTV is going stream. And who's working together with YouTube TV on this? DirecTV Stream is trying to partner with YouTube TV on a lot of these sports initiatives. But you look at, for instance, the carriage dispute going on with Comcast right now, where you're getting college games blacked out, Big Ten Network in certain places. It's never ending with cable and satellite companies. And to this day, I don't understand why people continue to subscribe to cable or satellite. I think it's a huge mistake. And we've got to find this, whatever the solution is, because I also wonder, how much are you guys paying to watch non-sports programming? It's pretty significant. Amazon Prime Video. I watch a ton of Amazon Prime Video.
Mm-hmm.
I watch, again, Netflix. I'm trying to get through all of the Designated Survivor episodes. I'm in the middle of season 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but where is that? That's on Netflix. Where's Miami Vice? Prime Video. Where is the NFL Sunday Ticket? YouTube TV. Where's Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears? Max. Like, I'm spread all over the place. And then if I want to watch House Hunters International to end my night, which usually we do, I got to go back to Prime Video.
Right.
There needs to be an all-in-one solution. And I know they're working on it, and it is coming. I just want a way to watch it all in one spot.
Yep.
And it's got to happen. It does.
And I think that, the concept of all the companies coming together to make the experience better for the consumer makes a lot of sense, because the consumer's happy to pay that pricing. So if you can just aggregate it in one spot and then split off the fees on the back end, so the consumer doesn't have to deal with that to me makes incredible sense.
I think the $1,000 a year number is very doable.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It sounds like a huge number, but when you break it down, it's really not that big of a number when you consider what we're already paying for.
Yeah. Oak State James, I have to go. Wednesday is a day filled with meetings. P.S. I have an interview this afternoon for that interim position in Arizona.
Listen, dude, don't ask them for an upper deck. That's not in the budget, bro.
Yeah. If part of your employment stipulation is they have to build new, what do you call it, CNS seating in your office, I don't think they're going to do it, dude. I don't think they're going to do it.
That's not part of the compensation package, dude.
Package. Yeah. Big Blue Horses. I would pay $89 a month, but I want all the games and all the sports. No funny business, no blackouts, just one stop clocking and viewing. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Get Stilly. I use Fubo. It's pretty solid. A lot of people use Fubo TV. Good luck on your interview, James. Holy moly, $1,000 a year. That sounds quite steep. Then again, if you add up all the individual subscriptions, but I'd need a bigger discount compared to those individual subscriptions. My wife wants to cancel Netflix, and I can't disagree with her because you can go back anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be true. Roche, Xfinity gave me a screaming. Nobody can beat it. What's a screaming deal? I have Xfinity Internet. Marcus Stuckey. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you. Cable and satellite survived because of technology illiteracy. I think it's the easy button.
Mm-hmm.
It was for me for how many years?
2 decades.
And then when I finally left DirecTV, I had to buy a new TV because my TV was so old that it couldn't handle streaming. The internet card wasn't fast enough. I think that's a lot of people. Screw the Big Ten network. I thought it would be a godsend that West Coast teams left a Pac-12 network, no more blackouts or anything, just for them to say, we're sorry, we don't have it in your area. Huge problem. Huge.
People are pissed.
Huge problem. UCLA and SC in Oregon, going to have to find a way around that. You really are. Island Hunters, love that show. Okay. North of $300 a month if you don't know better. Truth. Totally agree. I remember a la carte games back when Pac-12 Network existed. Yes. Ooh. Centralization seems a huge plus in this instance, but it would have to be at an affordable price nonetheless. It would. Giggity. James is only applying for a job in Arizona because of the new Is there a new Buc-ee's in Arizona?
Oh, wasn't aware of that.
I've never been to a Buc-ee's. Cam Harrison, I remember back in the 90s, if you wanted ESPN, you had to get cable, correct?
Yes.
Now it's on your phone. It's wild. Netflix and YouTube Premium is my only constant subscription. I will occasionally cycle through some others. Yeah, I think that's very regular. I think a lot of people feel like
YouTube
that.
Premium for folks who watch a lot of YouTube content is well worth the spend.
Tanner, the meatloaf-hating plumber. Can't cancel Netflix yet. Got to finish Better Call Saul and Cobra Kai. Better Call Saul is one of the best shows ever. Oh, that's right. I'm a bad person because I binge watch stuff. You are. That's true. Weirdo. I don't have time to binge watch stuff.
Mm-mm.
I don't. Matt Ritson. I wish YouTube TV added ESPN Plus part of the package deal. Well,
yeah, I agree with that.
UW fan Jim, I'm pissed.
Stay hard.
You should be. It's difficult when you can't get the programming you want.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult.
Well, it's like the jazz thing we always talk about, and how hard that is to get that to work. It's like there's multiple examples of things like that just aren't worth the time. I mean, it literally that's the beauty of YouTube TV. Like pretty much every college football game you want is going to be on there. Like it's very rare that you can't get the game you're looking for.
But Amazon Prime Video makes baseball, MLB, NBA.
Yeah.
They have NFL now, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, they're coming. I hate to hit the button. Should I hit this one or this one? Can we talk about, I'm only doing this today because we need to talk about JD Vance. So you guys know on this show, we really work hard to play the middle. I can't do it with JD Vance anymore. This kid thing with JD Vance is weird. I cannot be the only one who feels like JD Vance is being a weirdo about kids. Listen to what JD Vance said about childless teachers.
I think our conservative idea is that parents and families should determine what children learn, what values they are brought up with. So many of the leaders of the left, and I hate to be so personal about this, but they're people without kids trying to brainwash the minds of our children. And that really disorients me and it really disturbs me. Randy Weingarten, who's the head of the most powerful teachers union in the country, she doesn't have a single child. If she wants to brainwash and destroy the minds of children, she should have some of her own and leave ours the hell alone.
Dude, help me, JD. Just give me something to hang on to. He says that if you are childless, you should not be a teacher because you're brainwashing our children. And I just keep going back to this thing with JD Vance. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and I think you make a great point. Like, no matter where you are, again, like he just said, we really try to play the middle. We really try to give you both perspectives. Like, we really do work hard at that. But I think it's a really great point when you think about it from the standpoint of saying things like this. It's hard to relate and connect with this idea on the whole. Like, oh, you don't have a kid, so if you're a teacher, you're brainwashing kids. Like, what? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't resonate, I feel like, with a lot of people. It just sounds weird, man. It sounds odd. It sounds illogical. It sounds just off the wall.
I don't understand what we're talking about with JD Vance. I'm lost on JD Vance. It makes no sense now, and I'm starting to believe more and more. And it's shocking. I don't know how you would ever even conduct business like this in an election year. I'm starting to believe more and more that they did not vet JD Vance at all, because you'd have found this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have found the cross-dressing pictures. You'd have found the party boy pictures. You'd have found. You cannot tell me that you knew about this. And the kid thing is just, it's weird. The childless Catwoman stuff. All of these podcasts that he's been on for the last 2 years, ripping women who don't want kids. You can't tell me they vetted him and knew this.
No way.
There's just no, and you're giving the Democratic ticket an easy button here. Because what did we see from Kamala Harris and Tim Walz yesterday? They quite literally were picking up babies and kissing them. And you have children running over to them, being excited. You have this 10-year-old, this beautiful 10-year-old girl with these glowing eyes, excited to meet Kamala Harris. Are there 10-year-old children in this country excited to meet JD Vance? I'm sure there are, but we're never going to see that because he keeps going on about people without kids brainwashing our children.
And I think this on the heels of that awkward video clip that got put out where he was in that donut shop and the conversation was just like, okay, good. Like he rolls up and he's like, I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president. Like it just, the whole thing was awkward. And I agree. I mean, Vance has turned into, the easy button that keeps giving for the Democrats. And it's, I just don't believe that when Donnie chose JD Vance that he was like, yeah, I know about all this and this makes sense. There's no way. I mean, his ties to Project 2025, this guy, he is such a disappointment because I was excited about JD Vance being the running mate when they named him. Yeah.
Young guy, good looking dude, battleground state, no brainer. Next generation, no brainer. This guy could never, ever be president.
Yeah,
he's unelectable.
They were talking about him being, because he's younger and he is that next generation, being the next, like, hey, if Donnie wins the election, then Vance is going to be
that's our guy,
incumbent, the next
guy.
That's our guy. Yeah,
and I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't. Because what Donald Trump needs, he needs a running mate who won't cause controversy and who can be more, it's centrist is the wrong word, but who can lean a little more to the undecided voter. Like, that's what Donald Trump needs. Donald says some stuff that I think we all, like, we get it. And you need somebody that is well-spoken, young, but J.D. Vance is just can't get out of his own way, and I am shocked by it. I why do you put this guy? He talked in front of another, I think they said it was 375-ish people. And I thought that was generous. He's talking in front of these really small crowds. Like, Donald Trump is the guy that should be talking, period. That's it. That's all. Like, stop running out Lindsey Graham. Stop running out Ted Cruz. Did you guys see Ted Cruz is in a fight for his life? His lead is down to 2 points in Texas. This Colin Allred is running the race of his life, and Ted Cruz is not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, I think it goes back to I'm not in favor of Project 2025. Stop talking about it. If that's your thing, great. Stop talking about it. Stop allowing the people that are running Project 2025 to talk to anybody other than themselves. You got to stop that. Ted Cruz should not be talking. He should not be doing interviews. He hurts Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump attacking Lindsey Graham. You got to stop with this. You're constantly hurting yourself. Let Donald Trump do the talking, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
Let Donald Trump do the talking. And if he's not going to do that, if J.D. Vance is going to continue to do these small tour stops, and I don't understand the point of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do a small tour stop and put out bad tape. I mean, that just doesn't work. Like, as a vice president, candidate on a ticket, you have to be helping the main guy. You got to be, in the same way that they brought Walz on to be with Harris to, get more of, the more conservative person who
the
maybe
Midwestern
is undecided.
vote.
Yeah, like you brought Walz on to do that for that ticket. Vance should be, helping you get the younger person, helping you get, people,
the millennial voter who doesn't want to vote. J.D. Vance should be able to drag them to a ballot box.
Yeah.
And say, hey, turn out, vote for us, right? Like,
but that's not happening.
And Ted Cruz, this whole thing where in Texas, they erased 1 million people who they claim were illegally on voter rolls. Now there's lawsuits over it. And I mean, it is crazy to me. It is crazy to me that you have all of this nonsense. They need to quiet the room down. Donald Trump now pretty solidly is trailing in every poll. Like, you look at the aggregates, and this number actually from 538 is pretty widely regarded as the best aggregator of poll numbers. It's pretty difficult. This is pretty difficult. The path for Donald Trump to win the Electoral College is getting more and more difficult. And you look at what's going on in Georgia. The Harris-Walz campaign is going to be there for the next 3 days. And you look at these numbers, it's starting to get a little scary, because that's not just some guesstimate. That is AI doing 1,000 simulations. And the bigger issue here, again, is you have all this noise around Donald Trump. What do you not have with the Harris-Walz ticket?
Drama.
Nothing. They're not, again, and I know I've talked about this ad nauseum on this show. They don't have to do interviews. They don't have to talk. They're well ahead in most projections. You look at the polling, dude, look at those battleground states. This is not, you can't anymore turn a blind eye and say polls are bullshit. Like, it doesn't work that way. And when you look at the Harris-Walz ticket, I think they're doing a lot of things well. Mainly, they're not talking.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're doing this interview. And where is the interview going to be? It's going to be at a campaign stop, at a rally stop, with Dana Bash from CNN. It's going to be taped ahead of time, and it's going to be a feature piece. And what is going to happen to that interview? It is going to run everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think
all over the place.
I didn't see fundraising numbers yesterday, but I know coming out of the DNC, they had raised a ton of money as well. So I don't know, man.
She's pushing $1 billion by the end of this campaign. You start looking at some of the some of the numbers for her fundraising.
Yeah, it was like 550 coming out of the DNC, I think.
Yeah, she's well past $500 million.
Yeah.
She's well past $500 million. She raised $540 million after the DNC.
Yeah.
They put up $82 million in the last week of the convention. The money is there. And we can sit here and we can make jokes about Kamala Harris, or I'm telling you, you better start paying attention to real issues on this campaign, because she's talking about things that matter to people. She's not attacking Donald Trump anymore. She's on policy. And if you're a Trump supporter, that's terrifying, because the poll number, she got the bump we talked about. What did we say on the show? That she would be leading by 7 to 10 points coming out of the convention. She's got a 7-point lead. And the threat of Donald Trump pulling out of the debate over this microphone thing, that he wanted the mics muted when the other was not talking, when it was not the other's time. I think it's brilliant by the Democratic Party not to allow that. And we'll see what that ultimately happens. He's agreed to it in principle now for the September 10th debate. And I think it's very smart from the Democrats to not allow him to mute his microphone, because he cannot, I don't believe he can control himself. They've tried teleprompter, they've tried playbook in his hand in front of him.
Yeah.
And he just can't
execute
the message.
Which is really surprising. You know, I mean, he had been someone who, you know, I feel like for better or for worse was on his message and was, you know, pretty consistent, but it doesn't seem that way anymore.
It is going to be this, if it is in fact true that Kamala Harris does this interview and then she will begin doing press briefings, I think that's a mistake. Do the interview. Absolutely do the interview. I would sit down with CNN, ABC, MSNBC. I would sit down with all of the Democratic leaning outlets. Why would you go to Fox News? Fox News is already on your message, right? Fox News already criticizing Donald Trump. Fox News already, like, they're
putting Pete Buttigieg on repeatedly.
But it's not even that anymore. Their talking points are critical of Donald Trump now. It's crazy to me that Donald Trump is losing the edge in the media. It's crazy to me that you look at the polling numbers, you look at the momentum, he's still, here we are on the 28th of August, he still has not found a message. He has still not found a message. And this Afghanistan thing that blew up yesterday, blaming them for the decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And what did Fox News do? Immediately fact-checked him on it, that it was him who mandated, because it was his mandate that the military get out of Afghanistan. Did the Biden administration handle that well? Absolutely not.
No, that was a joke.
Absolutely not. A disaster.
Yeah.
You cost people lives by the way you handled that. But Fox immediately fact-checked him on that. I don't understand that. You are the conservative news outlet, the only one of note. What are you doing? What? I guess you don't want to tie yourself to Donald Trump, which I understand after the Dominion lawsuits, and totally understand that. But are you really telling me that you're fact-checking the guy on campaign speeches? You're cutting off his campaign speeches now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference
That's surprising.
between there's a difference between distancing yourself from someone in the way you cover the news versus going out of your way to counter his points and fact check him and kind of being aggressive about it in a sense.
And I understand we're all in this era where I think we all understand Donald Trump doesn't tell the truth. I think there's, whether it's oil and gas prices, the economy, he's still talking about how bad the economy is and the numbers don't support that. He's still talking about how the strategic oil reserve, he said it on Sunday, the strategic oil reserve is empty. No, it's not. He's talking about how they're only drilling because it's an election year. They've been drilling for, he just hasn't found a message. So if you're Fox News and he says, hey, they're the ones that decided to pull out of Afghanistan, do you really need to fact check him on that? Is that really what you... I think it's ludicrous.
Yeah, I don't know
why are you doing
that. Yeah.
All Fox News should be doing is talking about how many people died and how poorly the Biden administration handled it and how poorly planned it was, and actually, that's what Fox News should be doing. But instead,
they're doing the opposite.
I don't understand it.
If Fox News isn't going to support Donnie in the sense and how they cover the news, that the CNNs of the world aren't doing that.
Why would you, for instance, if you are Fox News, the Democratic convention comes to an end on the heels of Kamala Harris making one of the, I think it's got to be one of the 5 best speeches ever made at a convention. It was a phenomenal speech. Rallied the troops, raised money off of it, got a bump in the polls off of it. Do you really think it was the right thing to do to put a rambling, pissed off Donald Trump on your air, who then you had to hang up on to go to commercial break?
Yeah, that phone interview was rough.
Right. I'm asking who's running the Trump ground game? I think it's Donald Trump. I don't know who's running his campaign. And if he's got people running his campaign, he's not listening to him. He's not listening to him. And it is, yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. I would agree.
It's wild.
He doesn't have a message. And I think the hard part is that, I think the challenging part for the Republican ticket right now, or the party of Trump ticket, is that, there's not a lot of numbers that support what they're saying in the bigger picture. So it's what are you going to attack, if you will, or criticize with Kamala? Well, obviously the border stuff, Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
There are a couple of things.
Her
here
foreign
and there.
policy, I think there's no doubt. If again, and I say this every time we talk about politics, if I were advising the Trump campaign, hit her on things like fracking. That speaks directly to the heart of your base. Fracking, energy, natural gas, it is incredibly important in the heartland of this country. And where votes count, fracking matters, right? Her flip-flop on fracking, you should absolutely be hitting that. But you've got to, when we talk about immigration, this border czar thing has clearly not worked. It just has clearly not worked. They've tried and tried and tried to hang this tag of border czar on her. There's never been a border czar. That's not a real thing, right? And again, shockingly enough, you put Pete Buttigieg on Fox News
again
live at the convention. Not only did you do it with Pete Buttigieg, you did it with Gavin Newsom, and you asked them both why she was such. I think the question was, why was she such a failure as the border czar? Who wrote that question and then said, yeah, that sounds like a good thing to ask Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom, the two biggest, loudest proponents of Kamala Harris. And that talking point's gone nowhere. Whereas if you would just talk about how many, people have broken into the country illegally, crime, instability, stay on even if you don't have numbers to back it up, stay on your illegal immigrant crime wave thing. Stay on that. Ride that. That speaks to moms in Ohio, right? Now, wisely, they've stopped talking about the fact that illegal immigrants are taking jobs, because they're not. But talk about crime and safety. Talk about the future of our kids. And that's what you should be talking about. Talk about her lack of foreign policy. That's what you should be talking about. Talk about dead soldiers. This thing, and oh my God, the Trump staff, campaign staff, getting into an argument with people at Arlington National the other day. So they wanted to go to the area at Arlington National Cemetery where the newest plots are being laid. So where if you're a soldier and you died last week, you're getting laid to rest in this particular area. Well, per policy that's decades old, you are not allowed to take pictures or videotape in that area. You are not. It is. They believe it is sacred ground where people are being laid to rest. So naturally, the Trump campaign abided by that, right? No. They had their full campaign hat on. He's laying a wreath, and they're trying to videotape it, take pictures, do interviews in front. So, of course, the people at Arlington were like, hey, you can't do this. You cannot be doing this. No, and according to reports, there was a major blow up between 3 Trump staffers and the people at Arlington National. So you can't even lay a wreath at Arlington National without causing a controversy.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Where what you should have done is do what everybody always does. Go to the Tomb of the Unknown, pay your respects, do your photo op if that's what you're there for, which again, and JD Vance has still not figured this out, I would not be doing campaign stops on the bodies of dead soldiers. And I would not be talking about how Tim Walz lied about his service. Stop doing that. There's no reason to do it. None. Stop. Like, JD Vance makes me crazy. Anyway, What I would be advising him to do is talk about her foreign policy and lack of it. Talk about how the border is insecure and she wants to build a fence and that's where you should be.
Yes.
That's where you should be. Shouldn't be talking about how crazy and a woman she is and she's a childless cat woman.
She's low IQ.
Because notice now the messaging on the kid thing, specifically on JD Vance, biological kids. Notice now they've said, if you don't have biological children of your own, because they can't say she's a childless cat woman because she has children, stepchildren, who she has raised. So now it's biological children. Oh, okay.
Just so we're on the same page there.
So stupid. It's
biologics.
So and yet the Democrats, who are doing nothing at all to campaign, they're doing nothing at all. They're doing very quiet, huge crowd events. Their crowds are massive. There's a lot of momentum. If you were Kamala Harris and you were advising her, would you tell her to sit down and talk to the media? I wouldn't. What has she got to gain from it? She's got a 7-point lead right now. I agree. Before that debate, she needs to do the Dana Bash sit down where every network's going to run that. Every network's going to run that. And people are going to watch. They pulled 20 plus million for the convention.
Yep.
MSNBC's numbers have never been larger than they are right now. But they don't have to do anything because the Trump campaign can't get their stuff right. That's what's amazing to me.
It's incredible.
That's what's amazing to me. And you know what, iPatch? You're only half joking. So let me get this right. Kamala Harris, this was annoying as hell yesterday. Kamala Harris releases a video, a new campaign spot. Donald Trump releases a new campaign spot. Hers is a policy video. His video yesterday was, hey, my wildly popular trading cards are back. Make a donation. I'll send you an autographed Donald Trump trading card. That was his campaign video he released this week. Like, are you out of your mind?
It just doesn't sound like he's campaigning. That's the difference, I guess. Like,
it doesn't sound like he's campaigning.
You're not talking about policies and like, what would be different or whatever. And you're not really doing that. You're just sort of, I don't know. You're just sort of rambling, I guess, just talking like, it's something different every day, and that's what I think is the difference. And that's why I think that, Trump has struggled to get traction here because he's not campaigning per se. He's just sort of doing the events and just rambling along. And there's not like a strategy to it. It's just sort of show up, talk about the classic talking points and move along.
And I think Republicans and Trump supporters are rightly nervous. They're rightly nervous. All right. Do we go to the comment section
for a moment?
Mike Smith, Trump will not listen to his people. No stolen valor, but Captain Bonespur had his daddy pay a doctor so he could dodge the draft. Yeah, the Tim Walz stolen valor thing, and they've stopped talking about it now, wisely, thankfully. JD Vance is no longer attacking Tim Walz on his military service. It's always the wrong thing to do. It's always the wrong thing to do. The guy served 24 years, and everybody has pretty much come out and roundly supported him when he retired. And it wasn't to dodge military service. Like, Tim Walz's biggest problem is he says things that are inaccurate. This IVF thing where he said, because Tim Walz and his wife had fertility issues. They battled infertility. They began the fertility process where they take your sample and they embed it into your womb, if you will. He said they had in vitro fertilization, which they did not. He said they used IVF. That would have been the next step, but thankfully for them, it worked early in the process. So he got taken to task over that, which he should have. You've got to be accurate. When he talked about carrying a gun in war, he never carried a gun in war. You got to be accurate. He's dodged those missteps now. He's got to get accurate because he's going to hear about his military service in his debate with JD Vance. He is going to hear about that. And it's part of the reason that I think he does not, I don't know how many people know this. Tim Walz does not use a teleprompter. Does not want to. And I think it's one of the reasons you don't see him stumping the country right now, just everywhere, because he doesn't want to use a teleprompter. It's not, he much prefers to speak off talking points instead of read a script. And as admirable as that is in this day and age, I think he has to use a teleprompter so he doesn't say stupid things that are inaccurate, that aren't lies.
Yeah.
They're just not accurate.
Yeah.
And I think when you're running against Donald Trump and you're constantly hitting him on his lies, you can't be inaccurate. You just can't. Willie Wilson, the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown is awesome. It is. But you can't have violent altercations with the staff at Arlington. And if you go to Drudge, or it's pretty much the main headline on every news site, they had a reportedly physical altercation with the staff at Arlington National Cemetery.
That was stupid.
Because they were trying to videotape and photograph a campaign stop at a cemetery, which you just can't do that, man.
No, you can't.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It is interesting to me the way that that's played out. Kamala crowds have consistently been as big or bigger than Trump's. They have been. And the funny thing is, she stole his playbook. Donald Trump has had a history of just really entertaining events. But the problem is he talks for too long. He's doing 90 minutes to 2 hours of campaign speeches. People are leaving. It has got to be embarrassing for him to see the people behind him. There is video in some anti-Trump ads, not from the Harris campaign. I can't remember the name of the outfit that does it, but one of the PACs put out, the Lincoln Project, put out an ad of Trump doing a campaign speech where people were sleeping behind him, dozing off. Like there's a guy and they show the guy yawning. And then the next frame is him like with his head down. And then he like
pops up,
twitches awake.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump is talking for 90 minutes to 2 hours. And what is Kamala Harris doing? 20 minutes. 20 minutes out.
Yep.
In front of a packed house that she brilliantly, and I don't know why Trump has stopped doing this, and it's because people won't license him their music is a big part of this. But she's getting people like Megan Thee Stallion, for instance. She's getting people to show up and perform for free. She's getting Beyonce. And if you think about the music community right now, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, now Beyonce's in a stratosphere of her own, but Megan Thee Stallion is a huge artist. We had those numbers 2 weeks ago. Beyonce is giving her music license for free. Like she's got the entertainment community. She's got huge, big name performers that speak to young people and millennials performing at her shows. She's getting Common to perform at like, dude, she's getting the people that reach the people at her events. And you look at the crowd sizes she's drawn, and it's not even just the sheer size of the crowd. It is the enthusiasm. It is the volume.
Yeah.
It is the way that they're handling allowing kids to run up to her and hug her and like being audibly on microphone with the kids saying, "I was so excited to meet you. It's so good to see you." Like she's playing the game really well.
Mm-hmm.
And where did she get the game from? She took it directly from Donald Trump.
Yep.
And Donald Trump's never going to be a guy that kisses babies, and that's just not who he is. And he doesn't need to be that guy. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have to be that guy. They have to be really attractive people that are easy to like and easy to root for. And so far, I think they've played it perfectly. I think they've played it
as well as you could. Yeah.
I don't know that they've put a step wrong, in my opinion. Pretty much every politician lies. I would agree with that.
Yes.
But Trump is a habitual liar of epic proportions. Yeah. And I don't think anybody debates that anymore. I mean, you look at Trump supporters, the polling that comes, they ask in all of these polls, they pretty much 538 ask the same questions. Who do you trust on the economy? That's the shocking one, because 538's numbers now tell you that more and more people, shockingly, are leaning towards Kamala Harris on economy. It's shrinking, and a lot of it is job creation. The job creation numbers that the Biden administration has been able to put forward, the infrastructure jobs, the sheer volume of jobs they've created are stunning. And you look at some of the other numbers. Do voters want Republicans or Democrats in Congress? Dead even. And the Democrats, I say dead even. Democrats are up 1.5 points on that. Do Americans have a favorable opinion of Kamala Harris? Dead even. Dead even now. That was 10 points negative day one. Do Americans have a favorable opinion of Donald Trump? 52.5% say unfavorable. 43% say favorable. And it is one of those things like J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has a 34% favorability rating. Like, it's a huge problem. Yet Tim Walz has a 38.9% favorability rating. He's in the positive. That's a huge problem. Huge problem. And like you look at Robert Kennedy, 35% favorability, 41% unfavorable. Just added to Trump's transition team.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
To get him to endorse you. That's why.
I would assume so.
That's the only reason.
Right? I would assume so.
Because you need that 5% of the vote that he was taking.
Yeah. It is something that I think is, you got to pay attention to it. And you look at the polls on the economy. She was down huge. That number now, recent national polls have shown Harris building a small lead over Trump since she entered the race July 21st. Late July showed Harris was up 1.43 to 42. She's picked up 6.5 points since then. The economy, the biggest issue. For 26% of registered voters say the economy is the biggest issue, right? Harris over Trump on the issue of extremism, 42 to 36. Extremism, the number 2 issue. Like, that's crazy to me. I'm amazed that you're within 4 points on economic favorability.
Crazy.
When all Trump has done and worked really hard is to hang the economy around her neck like an anvil, as you should, right? Because you look at the Gallup numbers in late July had a 35% favorability on the economy. That should have been an easy win.
Mm-hmm.
Easy win. She's now within the margin of error, 4 points on most of that polling. Whether it's Reuters, ABC, NBC, like you picked the Fox News polls. You know, like you move in the you just
it's trending in a clear direction, and that's what's troubling.
Mike Smith, as a vet, I cannot stand the way Trump has talked about McCain's service in the whole Medal of Freedom honor situation. Yeah. Another big misstep.
I'm saying he's not helping himself. He's not doing what he used to do. It's
a huge misstep, in my opinion. Brandon Butler, the crowds for KU at Arrowhead will be generated by AI.
Right.
Do people really still buy into that? Even though now, and I feel like it was a honeypot that was set for the Trump campaign to step into. And J.D. Vance walked right into it, talking about how the crowds in the airport, the airplane hangar, or at the DNC were AI generated. Well, what's the only problem with that? Well, they aggregated all the cell phone video and they used social media to show all of the different camera angles that people took. And again, why has J.D. Vance and Donald Trump stopped talking about AI-generated crowds? Because you can't do it anymore. The technology is too good.
Mm-hmm.
It's too good. Calford says 200 former Bush, McCain, and Romney aides supporting Harris and Walz, not to mention major conservative military leaders. Yes, I agree. Donnie's speeches are more boring than LDS General Conference, and that's saying something. He has slowed his speech down pretty remarkably. Not even that he goes off script. I think anybody that has watched Donald Trump knows he's always done that.
Yes.
But he's slowed his speech pattern way down, and is Donald Trump dealing with dementia? I don't believe that. Is he out of his faculties? I don't believe that. He's not young. Isn't he, 78 years old?
Something like that.
He's not young. He's not young. He's the old candidate now. And he's got to, if you're a Trump supporter, I think you have to be very nervous about those 90-minute campaign speeches. Mike Smith, he goes off script and starts blabbing about anything that enters his self-loving delusional head. Yeah, that's probably a little strong. But, talk about the 4 indictment counts that were dropped yesterday due to the Supreme Court decision and the 38 Trump will be charged with. That I just think people are insulated to his court situations. Will that be a huge issue in the campaign? I don't think that goes to trial before November.
No.
What are we, 70 days
away? I do
away?
think he's going to have to deal with that in the debate, though. They're going to bring that up. The 34 felony convictions, and that's something that he's going to have to play defense on.
Yeah, Edith Puthie, you vote for Kamala because she can bring Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion to perform at her events. Definitely should run our country for that. No, I think the people that are voting for Kamala Harris are voting for a vision. And I think that vision includes women's rights, women's right to make their own choices in their health concerns, I think the point that Mike Smith made about military veterans and supporting the military and not criticizing people for being shot, killed, or captured in forward territories in war. I think Tim Walz being on the ticket as a 24-year military veteran. I think Kamala Harris has done a really good job of spinning a lot of the issues that she's faced previously. And let's see what happens now. She's starting to do media. But I think she's done a really good job of highlighting their energy policies that have lowered gas prices again.
The housing stuff.
The housing stuff is a home run. The medical debt relief is a home run. That's a home run. So you can sit here and be, talk out the side of your mouth about Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion. You know what Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion do? They get you to listen to what she's saying. You're not voting for her because she gets Beyonce. And this is, again, what thick-skulled conservatives in this country better embrace. You're not voting for Kamala Harris because Beyonce told you to. You're voting for Kamala Harris because Beyonce got you to flip on the TV, and then you heard one of the 5 greatest Democratic speeches ever. And they talked about medical debt being forgiven. Do you understand that one of the main causes of bankruptcies is medical debt, which never goes away? Do you understand that people in this country right now can't buy a house because of the interest rates? Has anybody considered what's going to happen when the Fed meets in September and drops rates, which they've indicated now almost certainly they will do? So you can keep running out Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion. You can keep running that out. But I'm telling you right now, you're not voting for Kamala because Megan Thee Stallion told you to. What Megan Thee Stallion did was get you to understand that she's got a plan to get you a house. She's got a plan to make sure your kids can buy a house. Like this, one of the things that's amazing to me, and I think this has probably gone largely unnoticed, this price gouging policy that Kamala Harris is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys understand what this is? Oh, well, money, it's capping people's ability to make money. It's not. It's actually expanding laws that are already in place in states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas has one of the most passionate corporate gouging laws. But why aren't we talking about them holding down corporate profits? Because that's not what the law is. In Arizona, in Nevada, in California, all of those states have corporate gouging laws. But we don't want to talk about that. It's old Kamala Harris. And so she must be the crazy woman that wants to hold down corporate profits. And everybody's like, the other thing I think that, and I think Trump is walking into a jackpot on this before we got to go. They keep talking about how's she going to pay for it. You understand that if she raises the corporate tax rate to 28%, she pays for housing and medical debt. Right there.
Yeah.
That the housing plan.
I think it was estimated at over $1 trillion in revenue that tax hike creates to pay for all this.
And the other part is, yeah, we'll get there. We got 70 days to go.
That comment of the guy who was talking about Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion, that comment earlier,
Edith?
that sentiment is that folks like Edith are always going to vote for Trump. And the problem is Trump has those people already. Those are not the people who are going to decide the election. The people who are going to decide the election are the undecided voter who's trying to figure out who it's going to be. And I feel like Kamala's doing a better job right now of getting those people than Donnie is.
That's who they, and I hope people understand that. This race is not about never Trumpers or always Trumpers.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to vote for him or you're always going to vote for him. This race is about the people who are standing in the middle of the road. And they don't know who they're going to vote for. And they're trying to figure out, and I think minorities, I think women, and I think women of color, especially in Georgia. Anybody notice that Donald Trump flipped on Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia? Now he's a great guy who's done a great job. Anybody notice that messaging?
I feel like that got a lot of coverage. That flip.
He flipped. He's not ripping Brian Kemp anymore for the 10,000 or 11,000 votes he needed. Brian Kemp's done a great job down there. And you know why he did that? She's got a 2-point lead in Georgia. Why is he in North Carolina weekly now? They're dead even in North Carolina. Where is Kamala Harris for the next 3 days? Georgia. And not Atlanta. Not Atlanta. She's in rural Georgia. Her and Tim Walz. They're going to be in Georgia. They're going to be in North Carolina. They're going to be in Pennsylvania. Will Donald Trump go to Philadelphia? I think it's a really interesting question. It's a Democratic stronghold. And if he just flips one vote in Philadelphia, I mean, one single vote, he is in a really important place.
Yes.
He's got to get votes in Philadelphia, and as many as he can get. As many as he can get. And I think it is going to be the voter laws and the voter restrictions that they passed in Georgia and Texas. Texas is another one. Real quick, and we're way late here, but Texas is another one. Isn't she within 4 points in Texas? Pretty certain she's within 4 points in Texas. She is within 3 points in Texas. According to Clean and Prosperous America, she is within 3 points in Texas. Ted Cruz has a 2-point lead as of this morning in Texas. That is
It's not what you want to be seeing, man.
That
That
is real trouble.
You're talking about
that is real trouble.
And again, the excuse for Arizona going Democratic is, oh, well, the Californians moved to Arizona. And so, okay, all right, fine. Right off Arizona, which was typically a Republican stronghold, but now is a Democratic state. Dude, if Texas goes Democratic.
It won't. I
don't think it will. But, dude, 2 points, 3 points, that's not comfortable, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. We got to go. Always good to talk to you guys. Always good to have a conversation. Just be open-minded, man. These are not. I think these political conversations are the most important ones that we have on this show. Because they're real-life issues that will impact all of us. Vote in your vote for your mayors, vote for your council people, vote for your local legislatures. Vote. Get out and vote. 69 days. Get out and vote. Are you registered to vote? If you're not, please get out and vote. I'm begging you. The Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Until tomorrow. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.